फ्रेंड्स, आज हम पढ़ने वाले हैं हमारा बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है टीपीए, दैट इज द डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ फीडिंग द ग्रांट बाय एस्टॉपल। मैं वीडियो स्टार्ट करने से पहले जिसने मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है, प्लीज मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें ऐसे ही लॉ रिलेटेड वीडियोस के लिए। एंड आपको कोई भी टॉपिक की वीडियो चाहिए, किसी भी सेक्शन में प्रॉब्लम है, यू कैन मेंशन इन द कमेंट सेक्शन एंड प्लीज सब्सक्राइब माय चैनल फास्ट। वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं, सबसे पहले हम जाते हैं हम ये देखते हैं कि ये कौन से सेक्शन में डील करता है। ये सेक्शन 43 में डील करता है अंडर टीपीए, ओके, टीपीए के। बट बिफोर स्टार्टिंग दिस सेक्शन, मतलब एस्टॉपल पूछा गया तो आपको खाली सेक्शन 43 ही एक्सप्लेन करना है एग्जामिनेशन में, ओके। बट एन ऑर्डर, डिग्री और जजमेंट गिवन बाय एनी कोर्ट procedure as an evidence the court and become fact and issue in the case. Section 40, 41, 42 are irrelevant as per section 43. Okay? Section 43 के लिए you don't have to under in depth of section 40, 41 and 42 as they are irrelevant according to section 43. हम सेक्शन 43 पे आते हैं। इसमें सबसे पहले हमें क्या क्या आपको इसकी मतलब हमारे बेयर एक्ट में क्या क्या गिवन है, हम उसका क्रक्स मेंशन करते हैं एंड डेफिनेशन को समझते हैं, ओके। द फर्स्ट इज वेयर द पर्सन fraudulently represents that he is authorized to transfer certain immovable property. Please write it down. आप इसको एज इट इज, आप इसको अपने एग्जामिनेशन में प्लीज इसको राइट डाउन कीजिए, ओके। प्रोफेसेस टू ट्रांसफर सच प्रॉपर्टी फॉर कंसिडरेशन। अंडरलाइन द वर्ड कंसिडरेशन। Such transfer shall, at the option of the transferee, operate on any interest which the transfer may acquire in such property at any time during which the contract subsists, okay. The last point is this section will not impair the right of transferee in good faith. For consideration without notice of the existence of said option. The first point that explains that where the person fraudulently represent that he is authorized to transfer certain immovable property. Fraudulently is a main. Fraud by fraud. That it is not in the knowledge of the transferee. Professes to transfer such property for consideration. Such transfer shall, at the option of the transferee, operate on any interest which the transferor may acquire in such property at any time during which the contract subsists. Section will not impair the right of the transferee in good faith for consideration without notice of the existence of said option. Now we move further that this section will provide us main two principles. Okay. Now we are going to understand these two principles. Hopefully you have write down. This section is very important. This is the basic of the law, and this doctrine will come in your examination for sure in 2.5 or 5 marker. Maybe it can also come in the long as an option. Okay. So as you are a law student, so you have to be very familiar with the case laws, that in every answer you have to write down the case laws. Okay. Now it provides us the two principles. The first one is common law doctrine of estoppel by deed. Second one is equitable principle. Okay. Write down for the equitable principle that if a person promises more than he can perform, must fulfill the promise when he gets ability to do so. I repeat again, for the equitable principle that if a person promises more than he can perform, must fulfill the promise when he gets ability to do so. Now we comes to the conditions for application. That what are the conditions we should apply for the application of a doctrine of feeding the grant of estoppel. Okay. Now we are moving to the condition for application. The first one is the transferor is an unauthorized person. That a transferor is an unauthorized person. That is fraudulent representation by transfer regarding his right to transfer. It's an authorized person, okay? The transfer is for consideration. The transfer subsequently acquires authority for the transfer. These are the conditions for the application of grant of estoppel. The first one is the transferor is an authorized person. Second one is that the fraudulent representation by the transferor regarding his right to transfer. The transfer is for consideration. The transfer subsequently acquired the authority for the transfer. Okay, write it down. आप इसको as it is examination में लिख के आए. Any question है तो please write it down. These are the basic conditions. Okay. Write it down. Have you done? Now we move further to the essentials of section 43 of TPA. Okay? हर एक सेक्शन के बेसिकली एसेंशियल्स बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं. अगर आपको एसेंशियल्स पता है तो आप उस सेक्शन की आप उसकी डीप तक जा सकते हैं. एसेंशियल प्लीज याद कीजिए हर एक सेक्शन का. ओके? Now we move to the essentials. The first one is fraudulent representation. Okay? The benefit of this section cannot be availed by the transferee if he did not believe the representation to be true and act upon that. Okay, now there is a case law under the fraudulent representation. The name of the case law is Narayan Chandra Saha versus Dipali Mukherjee, AIR 2002 CAL 229. The facts of the case are: there is no evidence. Son of owner of property made representation. A purchased it. It was held that cannot avail benefit of section 43 since there was no representation made fraudulently. मतलब इस सेक्शन में जो ये सेक्शन अप्लाई नहीं हुआ इस केस लॉ में because there was no representation which was made fraudulently. There is no fraud between the parties. Okay. Now we move to the second case law, that is Mohori BB versus Dharmodas घोष. There is a false statement. Truth known to both the parties. No estoppel. Okay. There is no application of the section 43 under this case. Now we move to the second case law, that is Janki Rama versus Neelakanta ILR 1954 Madras 537. The representation plus inquiry from other sources. No question of transferee having acted on that representation. Benefit not available. So in this case law, the party cannot take the benefit of the estoppel. Okay. This is a representation plus inquiry from other sources. No question of transferee having acted on that representation. So benefit not available. Okay. Now we move to the second essential. This is the first essential, that is the fraudulent representation. Now we are moving to the second essential, that is the transfer for consideration. Write it down. Not applicable for gratuitous transfer. Only transfer for value but not charges or gift. Okay. Now we move to the third, that is the subsequent accusation of interest. The first one was the fraudulent transfer. The second one is the transfer for consideration. The third one is the subsequent accusation of interest. The subsequent accusation of interest, that it shall pass the transferee at their option and time during which contract substitutes. Okay. Now we are going to compare the section 43 with the section 6 of the TPA. Okay. What are section 6 and section 43 of TPA. Section 6. Chances of hire a parent to get the property in future is a non-transferable right as it is void ab initio. Chances of hire a parent to get the property in future is a non-transferable right as it is void ab initio. Okay. Now we come to the section 43 that validates transfer made without title when the transferor subsequently acquires the property that validates transfer made without title, when the transferor subsequently acquire the property. Okay. Section 6. Chances of hire apparent to get the property in future is a non-transferable right. Okay. Section 43 deals at validates transfer made without title when the transferor subsequently acquires property. Write down the case law. Jummah Masjid versus Modi Mani Andhra Divash. Modimaniandradivah. Okay. No conflict between with section 6 and 43. Both can operate simultaneously. Facts of the case. Here a parent sold his would-be share joint property to M for 300, became entitled to property later and invoked 43 other parts contended its void ab initio. Basically, we have to deal with the head that Modi entitled to get protection, and the Supreme Court observed that section 6 subsection A rule of substantive law and section 43 based on estoppel, the rule of evidence. Okay, it was held that Modi entitled to get protection, and Supreme Court observed that section 6 subsection A deals with the rule of substantive law, and section 43 based on estoppel, that is rule of evidence. Okay. Now we move further, that is the transferee in good faith. section 43 cannot be enforced against a person who has taken a subsequent transfer from transferor in good faith and for consideration without notice. Okay, section 43 cannot be enforced against a person who has taken a subsequent transfer from transferor in good faith and for consideration without notice. Okay, now we come to the rights of second transferee. That should be in the good faith, paid consideration, without notice of the option, takes the property before option is exercised. So the right of the second transfer is in good faith, paid consideration without notice of the option, takes the property before option is exercised. Okay, we have done with the topic so far, and don't forget to subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get my further videos, and please like the video if you like the video, and if you don't like the video, please go for it and hit the dislike icon also, and please subscribe my channel, and thank you. Stay home, stay safe.